Hello YouTubers and welcome to episode 2 of season 5. Today, as you can tell from the title, we're talking about sort of the 2020 goals, and just there, that was me doing my PB in my half hour. That was at the Under Club just last week, so before team training started this week. So that was on Saturday, but it was a PB. So here's the score now, and that is a PB from, so the last time I was anywhere near that, previous PB was 40.9, 40.8, and that was in 2016, just before, or just when I started on the GB rowing team, and before my tonsillitis and getting my tonsils out and all that. So things are looking good for the beginning of 2020, looking good for the beginning of the new journey, and hopefully 9k will be a score, or that's 140, will be a score that is within reach. So only 0.3 of a second or 0.3 of a split over the distance, over the time of a half hour to get to that score, and that is one of the 2020 goals that I'll be talking about throughout today. But wait, what's that? Oh, I need to hop on the train because I can't drive just now because my car is broken, getting fixed in the garage. So I need to get quickly and get hopping on the train. And we've made it onto the train. We've got a seat here. Lucky we can transport, isn't that right, Yam? Yam's making himself comfortable. Then we're going to talk about 2020 goals and get the car from the garage. And we've managed to get the car from the garage and get it repaired and get back to the house. And as you can tell, it's a little bit different to the Yaris. So my dad has let me borrow the Land Rover, or some may call it the Yam Drover, until I just get everything moved around. So that's absolutely fantastic. Just a little bit different than the Yaris, slightly bigger, a little bit more room for Yam back here as well. He just quite likes lying back there. But we're talking about 2020 goals, and it's always really helpful when you're setting goals to have realistic goals. So goals that you want to get to but aren't too out there, and then it's really good to have goals that are really far out there, so that when you do hit your realistic goals, then you have more to stretch for, and you can almost bridge the gap between the realistic and the stretch goals, and then keep that motivation going. But we're going to get into the house and then get my list of my 2020 goals that I set out for myself. And let me know in the comments below what your 2020 goals are, if you have any at all, and we can see if the Yam squad can hit their 2020 goals. And we have made it into the house, back onto the rowing machine. Going to do a lovely little workout today. So it's just one erg, it's going to be a long one, 90 minutes. And I'll probably get a row along of this video at some point with Yam. Try to steal my socks. Here, no, yeah, leave. Good boy. So we're going to get a 90-minute workout today. So we've got 40 minutes UT3, so a roughly 120 heart rate. 20 minutes UT2, so roughly 130 heart rate. Then we go up and up and up and up. So we go 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 14 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And in that 3 minutes, we're trying to approach about 170, 175 heart rate. And then you can make the steps. So if that's for me, make the steps from 130 to 140 to 150 to 160, and then 170, 175 on that last one. And then the splits don't matter as much. It's really focusing on heart rate, and I'll talk about that again in another video. And the rates, so for me, for the first hour, so 19 to 20, and then sort of up to every time shift. But I'll make a row along video about that. Right now though, we're talking about goals for 2020 and my goals. So since we're on the rowing machine, I'll talk about my 2020 goals for rowing in general. So just getting them up on my phone now. So I've got my rowing goals here, and it's all sort of based around, or mostly based around, sort of distances and times, because when you're training by yourself, it can be a bit easier to say, okay, well, my say it's my half-hour score, like I've already spoke about, when you can do a time for a distance and then you get either faster or slower, you can say whether training is working or not. So my rowing goals are to improve fitness to all-time highs, to PB in all distances, and so for PB, some of them I'm not just looking for sort of 0.1 or a few meters in the 30 minute, which I've PB'd in the 30 minute, but I want my goal to be over 9,000 meters, which is a 140 split, like I mentioned earlier. My 2K, so my 2K PB is 550, and I want to go sub 547. So that's 3 seconds off of my all-time PB, which was last year in 2 years ago now in 2018. Fingers crossed I can get there. My 5K, I've really not improved my 5K for quite a while, similar to my half hour. My 5K PB is 1540. Jan, what's your PBs? What would you like your PB to be? But I would really like my 5K to be sub 1530. So a 1540 is a 134 split, and I would like to be sort of 133, 135, 133 and a half split, and then work down from there. And also, outside of the scores, outside of the distances, I'm looking to find more enjoyment in the training and also train at a high level and maintain consistent recovery and discipline throughout the year. So far this year I've done a much better job at staying healthy throughout the winter. Generally over the last 3 or 4 years, got to around this time of the year and just struggled. But with a bit more preparation last year coming into the winter and now a little bit of a change in training, I'm feeling strong and I'm feeling more able to cope with the training, whereas previously, especially when I had like my tonsil issues and got my tonsils out, I was having problems just staying not ill. And a couple of other ones, get my squat above 160 kilos and my bench press, as long as my shoulders allow it, above 125 kilos. So I've got a few other goals as well, sort of in the YouTube space and the branding space, but I'll talk about that after getting this erg done. So let me know in the comments below what your rowing goals are, and then after we've done this, have a little bit of a chat about sort of goals in general and my other goals outside of rowing. So let's get on with this erg. Oh yeah. Okay, and that is the 90 minutes, building through the rates, building through the splits, and building through the heart rate. So a little bit higher in the heart rate, split a little bit slower, but again, as we'll talk about later on in the heart rate episode, whenever that comes, it's right now, the split is just there. It's a measure of fatigue, etc., but it's in that workout, we're going off of heart rate. So I managed to basically do 120 for the UT3 or 119, just under 130, then sort of 145, 155, 165, and then I peaked at 180, so we're probably average just below that. But the splits kept coming down, and as the training changes, I add in weights, getting more fatigued, so making sure I'm eating right. And of course, as always, after a session you have to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. And again, Yam keeping watch with his eyes shut. And then we'll talk about goals outside of rowing. So see you once I've showered and I've got some food. Oh yeah. And we've got some delicious food. We've got about 500 to 600 grams of rice, about 400 grams of chicken, roughly, as I get the camera steady, to fuel up after, and obviously some delicious water as well. But we're going over the goals outside of rowing while we fuel up now. I'll just bring them up on my phone. So they're basically divided up into a couple of outside categories. YouTube, the Yam Squad, big parts of my life outside of rowing, and sort of branding, which kind of relates to that as well. So with YouTube, it's growing, and it's growing really nicely, and I want to keep growing the channel and keep growing the community. And I think two big ways of doing that are to make better quality videos. And what does that mean? Well, it's not always just going to be the daily vlogs. I'm going to try and make different videos, like I tried to do at the end of last year with the rowing machine related videos to apply to a wider audience. And so I'm going to continue those, and I've got loads of ideas to do related to the rowing machine, but also outside of that to do with food and to do with fitness in general, if that makes some sense. But also, so I have a couple of videos on the channel that I've done really well. And the biggest one is one of my first vlogs, actually. I think it was vlog 32, the one where I got the opportunity to, when I was just before my tonsillectomy, just before I had the surgery to get my tonsils out, I got the opportunity to film the GB rowing team do a 2K. So I thought I did a pretty good job of filming that, and that was the first time people got to see into that whole experience. And it did really well. So that's above 100,000 views just now. And so this year, I want to make 2 videos that not necessarily outdo that video, but are at least on par with that video, because that's kind of a twofold thing. One, it's like saying, well, the video is good enough that loads of people are watching it and people like it. And 2, it means that I'm progressing in what I'm doing and I'm making content that is pretty high quality. And I think another bit of the content that I want to push forward as Yam plays with a bunch of toys. Yam, here, what have you got? Good boy, you've got one of your own toys. Well done. Thought you had some socks. But create content that shows what you can do when training in certain ways, instead of just sort of, okay, this is a session I'm doing today, or this is a session I'm doing tomorrow, or whatever. Trying to make some content where it's like, okay, maybe I'm training this way with heart rate this for these next couple of months, and this is why. Or maybe in the next year or so I get an opportunity to say, I'm training like Obi Vincent, who's been in the channel before, or maybe Thor, or something like that. That could be something different. I could train like him or her for 30 days and see what happens. And also, I think a really big thing I want to do this year is make a video that when people come onto the channel, for new people that come onto the channel, they can kind of get a whole idea of what the channel is about, of what the Yam Squad's about, and they can see if they want to join the channel or not. So that's kind of the YouTube targets. Oh, and the general number targets. 40,000 subscribers is kind of where I would like to be by the end of this year, and that's really a stretch goal for me. That means I need to more than double the subscribers that I have now, and I haven't grown that fast yet. So I don't need to do something big, but I really need to make sure the quality and everything is up there to make sure people want to subscribe. And tying into that, we've got branding. So growing the Yam Squad community, however that may be, whether it's trying to make more of a easy way to communicate around the Yam Squad or something, create some consistency within the Yam Squad branding as well. So sometimes with the all-in-ones or the t-shirts and whatnot that I have, they're just kind of all over the place. I would quite like to sort of bring that in. Maybe that's making a new logo, making a new template, new font, whatever it is, to bring in, okay, if you saw the Yam Squad logo, you knew it's the Yam Squad logo, if that also makes sense. And lastly, look at sort of food is fuel branding. I've actually got the trademark for food is fuel now, so I want to see what happens with that, and I've got some ideas behind that, which hopefully I'll be able to follow along over the next year. But that's kind of behind the scenes, and then as we go through the year rather than quite recently. But now let's talk about goals in general for you, the Yam Squad. So not specifically your goals and what they should be, but more, like I said, I talked about earlier, about realistic, as Yam comes and says hello. Hello, Yam. realistic versus stretch goals. You want to make sure that not only are they realistic or within your reach theoretically, but they are applicable to you. There's no point in saying, so for example, if I use me, there's no point in me saying, okay, I'm going to the 2020 Olympics for 100 meter sprinting. I may be super fast at sprinting, but my experience in sprinting is nowhere near, and there's no chance of me going to the Olympics for that. So it's making sure that at the very least, your realistic goals are set so that, not to make them easy for yourself, but to make it so that you can get on the path to do that within the given time period. So for me, some of the PBs, I've pushed them a little bit further. So the 9K PB in a half hour, when I set that goal, that's about a split faster than my PB at that time. Now, after the half hour just a couple days ago, that is 0.3.4 off. So it is within reach. So whether it's a job promotion that you're looking for, whether it's a diet thing you're looking at doing, whether it's giving up something or getting into a habit of something you want to do, and again, making sure it's applicable to you, because everyone's their own individual, everyone has the things they're good at and the things they're not so good at. And so maybe your goals are to do with the things you're not so good at, you want to get better. But I think that will be it to do with goals for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. Really excited. I'm always going to be I'm really excited for the next couple of weeks, because I am, for the videos coming up, as well as, so I just did that half hour PB only a couple of days ago, and it's the beginning of 2020. So I'll have a half hour coming up soon. Hopefully I can better that 40.3, and we can see how we can get on there. And it bodes well for the upcoming season and what we've got coming up. And hopefully the YAM squad, like I said, let me know in the comments below what your goals are for 2020, or for July or September or February, whatever you choose where your goals are. Maybe it's 2030 that you're setting your sights for. But that will be it for today's episode. Hopefully you enjoyed episode 2 of season 5. And as always, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and I will see you in episode 3, which will most likely be tomorrow. Oh yeah.